Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Gabby and today we are going to be doing quite a few things in this video. To begin with, I gotta take this poplar log and just make a few one-bys out of it so we can continue the next phase of our project. Okay, we haven't been able to use the sawmill in like forever, and that's because we haven't really needed any rough cut lumber for any of our projects. This project, however, is supposed to be like a rustic themed building, and the rough cut is going to be turned into trim, which is going to be perfect, and it's going to be like a nice little pop that like it shows that it's rustic. Okay, after I make a cut, I always take the blade up 2 notches just so that when I bring it back it doesn't get stuck on anything. Okay, look how pretty that is. Everyone says how Poplar is very plain, but that's only because they're comparing it to like walnut, maple, and cherry lumber. If you look at it as itself, or even compare it to pine, it's beautiful because it has like green and purple streaks in it. So, I don't know, I think Poplar should be more popular. Get it? Ha ha ha. Okay, it wasn't that funny, but I thought it was. Okay, for this last board, I flipped it over and I actually cut up 1 inch from the bottom instead of just cutting 1 inch down, because as you can see, the top, which was the bottom, has a lot of wane, and I want that to be my waist instead of saving it for the actual 1 inch board. Okay, the next step is I'm going to make pickets out of some branches. These pickets are going to be used for the handrail, and like I said, this is going to help it be more of like a rustic type scenery. Okay, this is my little brother, and every time he sees the camera, he gets all happy and he likes to play with it, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, the tool I'm using, I call it the bark peeler, but I don't think that's its actual name. I think it's actually called a draw knife. Not sure. Pretty sure that's what it's called, but I'm going to continue calling it the bark peeler because I know what it is. But anywho, it makes it kind of fun to peel the bark because it's easy and simple and quick. But that also depends on the type of trees, because I noticed that like between the 2 elms, slippery and rock, if you grab a slippery elm branch, it's real easy to pull off the bark. But I always get confused between slippery and rock just looking at the bark, so I always bring back rock too, and then when I try to peel it, I'm like, this is not slippery elm at all. But anywho, this is actually kind of fun and relaxing once you get the hang of it, as long as you grab the right trees. Okay, all the branches that I'm using, I either collected the day before or the day of that I'm gonna peel, because it's much easier when they're still fresh than when you leave the bark on. At least that's my opinion. Everyone has their own opinion. But anywho, sorry I didn't get any video of actually cutting down the little saplings and getting the little logs. But I'm very forgetful, okay? So while I was doing that, I didn't remember to record until after I brought them all back. And I'm like, well, it is what it is. Okay, all of these branches, at least most of them, have like little knots where another little branch was. And it's so pretty once they're done because it gives it like a uniqueness to it. But whenever you're peeling, it's like, just another little bump to get in the way. And it's kind of hard to go around it because then you have to like smooth it over. But if you only grab the ones that didn't have any knots, then it like would not be as pretty. See, this branch had absolutely no knots and it was just like so easy to peel. Okay, to hold down the branches, I'm using this little vise to keep it in place, but I'm also putting a board on top of it to hold it down because I had a problem with it kept pulling up the back end and it was slipping out of the vise. Okay, here's an up close of the draw knife, and as you can see, the one side is completely flat and the other one is sharp at an angle. Okay, branches like this were definitely the most difficult, but if I would have just got perfectly straight branches, I don't think it would turn out as pretty. I mean, every time I brought these, my dad was like, did you really grab the most crooked branches you could find? And it's like, no, but if you didn't grab some crooked branches, then it would just be too plain and boring. Okay, we then drilled a hole with a hole saw bit about 1.25 inches wide by like 3/4 inch deep, and that was so we knew exactly where to peel it down to, because as you can see, it's got to be like a tapered edge so that we can fit it down into the hole of our handrail. So that's how we did it. I don't know if anybody else does it another way, but we figured that if we drilled down too, then we would know exactly where to taper it and they'd all come out perfect. And there we go. As you can see, there are many different sizes, but they are beautiful. Okay, in this part of the video, I'm just cutting up some trim. I have a few measurements here and there, but the main thing is all of these boards are from the log that I cut. So before I can cut or measure it, I have to make sure I clean up both edges, and if there's too big of a knot, I have to cut that out. Now, rough cut trim is not complex at all. It's no coping, no angles, just straight cuts against each other. The only things I had to contend with is a few outlets. And all I did was mark where it's at on the board, and I cut it out with Many people, I think, call it a jam saw, but again, I call tools different names. I call it a fuzzy tool, and I'm just gonna cut out a little notch, and it's gonna sit below the outlet, so nothing too complex here. Remember, when dealing with rough cut, the ends aren't always gonna be square, because most of the time the ends are cut with a chainsaw, and we don't exactly have a square and a pencil out there with us.
Talk to me on camera.
Talk to you on camera?
No, you can't talk to me. You're on camera.
Oh, so I'm talking to myself.
Yes, you are.
It's normal.
Blah, 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 blah.
I talk to myself a lot.
You are live.
No. As you can tell, my dad got a hold of the camera and he decided to do a walkthrough. As you can see, there's the awning and there's the handrails, but that's not what I'm doing at the moment. At the moment, I'm going around all the rooms and just laying down some pretty baseboard trim. Ain't that just gorgeous? Okay, here's a quick little tidbit from my dad. The saw was not pulling in and out very efficiently, so he got out some WD-40 and said maybe people should know how to make their saw work. Okay, as you can see, the trim is going in quite nicely, and I'm just using some trim nails and an air nailer and just a rubber mallet because sometimes it just needs a little gentle love tap. Okay, this here is my uncle. He did the floors, and he was just about done, so we could come in and do our project, other than he just had to do a little bit around the steps. Okay, and here is the handrail, all complete. As you can see, the tapered edges worked very nicely. We took like a 2x3, I think it was, on the bottom and drilled holes in, pounded them in with a rubber mallet from the top into the holes. Then we took another 2x3 that had the same holes drilled on top, placed it on top, and worked from one edge to the other, gently beating it down until it was all nice and snug. Now, we also put that little awning up here on top. Isn't that nice? It makes it look very rustic, and I think it gives it a little like pop because it looks different than what you normally see in places. And little metal walls. See, them tapered edges work so nicely, and I don't know, that after picture made me so happy that it all looks so very nice. Okay guys, that's it for now. I hope you all had an awesome Easter. And also remember the true meaning of Easter. It's not just about the kids and the candy. It's about Jesus and how he rose from the dead to save us all. And that is the true meaning. And he loves you. He loves all of us. So that's it. Goodbye.